A few years ago, Hell's Kitchen, New York City were inside my safe house. I am meditating, telekinetically levitating myself off the floor, in a room containing monitors and various weapons. I think that everyone is given a family at birth, that they are irrevocably part of you, made from the same genetic information. Blood is blood, and family is family. That is one thing you can't escape. However, sometimes, you find family along the way, and sometimes they find you. Like right now as Nate Gray, also known as X-Man, crashes through the roof and slams into the floor. I then placed Nate on a table and connected various wires to him. My half-brother Nate Gray, genetically engineered by Mr. Sinister. He is me from an alternate reality. He came here for a reason, to tell me something. Looking at the monitor, I see that Nate's heart rate is erratic and his vitals are all over the place. I've tried reading his mind, but it is a mess. The only constant is fear. He shares my genetic signature and my mutant abilities. But what he doesn't have is my techno-organic virus. Blaquesmith enters the room and reminded me that he had warned me about this time-lost boy.
You should have killed him when you had the chance,
Blaquesmith declares. I ignored Blaquesmith and continued to monitor Nate, realizing that he is a god who shouldn't know fear.
Do you hear me, Ascani-san? He is impeding your destiny.
I tell Blaquesmith to shut up and finish mixing the palliating salve. He's not enemy. He's family, I declared, thinking that Nate is also a confused kid. And I know exactly what that feels like. Blaquesmith shakes a finger at me and tells me that not everyone who shares my genetic code is family, and suggests that this could be a worm dangling on a hook from Apocalypse. It's not. I know what did this, I replied, before asking Blaquesmith if he has done mixing yet. I telepathically contacted Nate, telling him that I needed him to pull through. While I started applying the salve to Nate's face, my hand appeared to suddenly transform, as if the techno-organic virus had taken over.
Run! It's coming for you!
Nate shouts as he wakes, sitting up, the wires falling off his face. Well, I tell him to calm down, and that we are safe here.
Behind you!
Nate exclaims as a strange mass of metal, cables and wires rises from the monitor station behind me. Which of you is real, and which is the copy? The strange being asks as it moves closer to us. Nate suddenly flies forward, ready to attack. Stay back! You're too weak, I called out.
This thing was coming for you! I tried to warn you and failed.
Nate replies, You don't deserve a brother. The strange creature snarls as it wraps wires and cables around its fist, creating a super fist that he slams into Nate, knocking him backwards. As Nate lands on the other side of the room, the mysterious creature, fully transformed into a humanoid form, reveals that he was there when Nate and I first met. I hoped you'd end him, the creature tells me, as I fire a weapon at the creature, striking its shoulder. But the creature simply reforms its body. But you wanted a new friend, someone to play with. Part of you knew I would come, the creature states as its face begins to resemble my own appearance, and moves closer to me. All these years, you haven't learned. You're not allowed, the creature exclaims as I raised a weapon and calls the creature Metus. Please listen to. I begin, but suddenly, furious energy strikes Metus, tearing the creature apart. I turn to Nate. Stupid kid, you're gonna kill yourself, I declared, but Nate tells me.
I just saved your life.
I help Nate stand up and tell him that we have to get him out of here.
We have to finish this,
Nate utters, before I remarked.
Time slide by 2.
While Nate looks horrified.
No! Wait!
He exclaims as it appears some cables connected to Metus touch the time slide energy effect as we vanish.
Stab his eyes. What am I doing with my life?
Blaquesmith wonders. Somewhere at the end of time, a strange cubic structure is oddly positioned on a chunk of rock floating through time. Inside, 3 versions of myself stand in one of the rooms within the structure.
Oh, great. There's more.
A soldier-like version mutters.
As the old Ascani proverb goes, whatever is.
Techno-Cable remarks while a cable that is more machine than man reports that his scans tell him, We are genetically identical to them.
Where are we? Who are these guys?
Nate asks. I explain that we are in one of my safe houses, and that these 3 are just like him. Different versions of me from other timelines.
We arrived like we were born as one.
The Ascani Cable remarks.
What Twinkle Toes here's trying to say is we arrived within milliseconds of each other.
The Soldier Cable explains.
We all sensed the same threat and followed it here.
The Techno-Organic Cable adds. Nate telepathically informs me that it is here, and he is betting someone isn't who they say they are. He adds that he will dig into their minds, as we have to find the imposter. Easy, Nate, I replied, while the Ascani Cable tells us that there is no need for secret telepathic communication, and assures us that we are all children of the atom.
There's too many of us, kid. You'll flood your mind.
Soldier Cable declares. I agree, and tell Nate that we all share the same biosignature and psionic ability. No, let him. Techno-Organic Cable mutters, as visions flood Nate's mind. He sees one reality where young Nathan hovers telekinetically alongside Red, while Slim watches over them, and another where he trains alongside Red and Mother Ascani. A third where Red and Slim teach him to use his powers, and another where he stands alone, looking out over a futuristic city.
Stop, stop, stop!
Nate screams. Nate drops to his knees and declares that he knows that one of them has to be the monster.
Monster! What's he babbling about?
The Soldier Cable asked, grabbing me. I explained that something followed us here, a dangerous shapeshifter, and we can't leave until we find it.
Ah, so the unseen threat reveals itself.
Ascani Cable remarks, while Techno-Organic Cable wonders how, without the ability to search each other's minds, how are we supposed to find this thing? It can't hide forever. It won't. I tell the others, while Techno-Organic Cable announces that he refuses to wait, and starts to leave, heading towards a door.
Hey, Ugly, you're not going anywhere.
None of us are.
Soldier Cable declares, raising a weapon.
A predator requires prey. If we leave...
Ascani Cable begins, while I tell everyone that no one leaves until we figure this out, and ask them all to hand over their time machines.
Give them to me. I'll look after them.
Nate offers, standing up. But Soldier Cable declares that he doesn't trust Nate, either, and as he removes his time device from his bionic arm, he suggests that we leave them where we can all see them, in plain sight.
Statistical analysis tells me this is a horrible plan.
Ascani Cable remarks, while Techno-Organic Cable mutters that this will only end in death. I tell everyone that they don't have a choice, not until things become more clear. We all stand around except for Ascani Cable, who hovers in the air, meditating as Nate asks.
So what's the plan now?
Ascani Cable states,
I need time to search my own mind.
I guess we're at a standstill. I pointed out. Soldier Cable suggests. We sit here and wait. He and Techno-Organic Cable then turn and looks at me, but I say nothing to them. Later, a candle has nearly melted all the way down.
You know what? I'm tired of this shit.
Soldier Cable exclaims, slamming his fist onto the table. He stands up and points at Nate.
That hothead seemed to know a lot about this monster. Maybe he's the one,
he suggests. I stand up and tell my counterpart that this is not how we are going to solve this. We need to work together.
Working in tandem requires trust.
Ascani Cable points out.
You haven't earned mine.
Soldier Cable replies. This is exactly what it wants. We're playing right into its hands. I tell the others. Nate suggests that it seems like we are all a little beat, and Ascani Cable points out that some rest might ease our spirits. Techno-Organic Cable remarks that we need to keep watch in teams of 2, and announces that he and the shaman will go first, as he's the only one he trusts.
Wake me up when it's my turn.
Soldier Cable replies as he leaves the room. Techno-Organic Cable announces that he can feel the electricity buzzing, and that it wasn't like this when we got here.
Strange what isolation does to the mind.
Ascani Cable remarks, looking out the window. Strange bubble float around, and he explains that the outside reflects what's inside. We are stuck here until we find the interloper. Techno-Organic Cable remarks that he thinks it is the kid.
What of the merc?
Ascani Cable asks. Techno-Organic Cable replies that his analysis tells him no, and that he was asleep when he checked on him. Elsewhere in the complex, the Soldier Cable sits alone, while in another room, Nate and I sit side by side.
You look as bad as I do. What's going on?
Nate asks. I explain that I've been straining to keep my virus under control, as the virus doesn't like it when Metus is around.
So the monster has a name. You know more than you let on.
Nate remarks. I tell him to keep quiet, as someone could be listening. I then close my eyes and memories flooded my mind. In my memory, open your eyes, metal boy. Another child calls out, as a young me finds himself standing on the edge of a cliff, overlooking a lake, hundreds of feet beneath. You gotta look where you're going. Another kid calls out, 'cause it's a long way down. Another laughs. Another kid goes up to Nathan and puts a hand on his shoulder. You can do it, Dayspring. It's not as scary as it looks from up here. The kid smiles. What are you waiting for? A larger kid asks. I'll do it. Just let me catch my breath. Nathan replies before the larger kid shoves Nathan off the cliff. Catch it on the way down, he snarls. Nathan screams as he plummets from the cliff. His telekinesis flares up and his bionic arm suddenly increases in size and reaches up to the top of the cliff as Nathan falls into the water. The present. Holy shit. Techno-Organic Cable remarks, as we all stand over the torn-off arm of Soldier Cable, which lies in a pool of blood. Ascani Cable tells us not to get too close. Wasn't going to. Techno-Organic Cable replies, before pointing out that the arm was severed at the rotator cuff, and looks like it was the only part of his body not infected by the virus.
We should never have left him alone,
Nate remarks. But I reminded Nate that it was his own choice, and he knew the risk. Knew the risk? Calculations tell me this is your fault. You're the ones that brought this monster here. Techno-Organic Cable declares, pointing at Nate.
Get out of my face before I...
Nate begins, to which Techno-Organic Cable interrupts him. Before you what, cool guy? Overload again? He asks.
Don't.
Nate begins, but they are both interrupted when I fired a weapon at the ceiling. That's enough, all of you, I exclaimed. Nate, Ascani Cable and Techno-Organic Cable turns to me, as I tell them that Metus wants us to turn on each other, but we can't give in. We already lost one and I won't have another death on my conscience. I ordered them all into the main room. They follow me into the main room, and I tell them that we are all the same, that all of us should be telekinetic. And I know the monster isn't, so I suggested we perform a simple test. One at a time. Each of us will telekinetically lift this chair. If you can't, well, my voice trails off, before telling Nate that he is up first.
Happy?
Nate asks as he telekinetically lifts the chair with ease. Done. Techno-Organic Cable points out as he raises the chair, before asking why am I giving the orders. The Ascani Cable lifts the chair with his telekinetic powers and points out.
This leaves one of us. You are not of our kind,
He declares, holding his staff towards me. My systems tell me I should blow a hole through your head right now. Techno-Organic Cable calls out, raising his gun to my head. While Nate asked to let me do the test, as they owe me that much. I telekinetically lifted the chair, but my bionic arm starts to transform.
Your arm reveals your true nature. You are the monster.
Ascani Cable declares. It's no... me. It's near. I responded while Nate points out that I am doing the test, so it can't be me. What the? Techno-Organic Cable utters as a wire suddenly coils around him and pulls him back into the wall, where other cables and wires have amassed. He calls out as he is then torn apart in a grisly display, before crying out for help, as Metus absorbs his techno-organic tissue. Don't let it touch you, I tell the others. Ascani Cable tells me that he is sorry he doubted me, and announces that we will end this as one. I tell Ascani Cable and Nate to stay close, and to follow my orders as I blast Metus, who now towers over us. Ascani Cable suggests that we focus our combined energies. Look out! Nate exclaims, before Metus latches onto Ascani Cable, pulling the old man towards his massive machine-like form.
Whatever is.
Ascani Cable remarks as the entire building is destroyed, becoming part of Metus. Ascani Cable tells us that he is sorry, and that he will see us in time, as he is dragged towards Metus' large, gaping mouth.
Two lost brothers, now alone. My body hunts, and so it feeds.
Metus declares, latching onto me and pulling me closer, while Nate hovers telekinetically nearby. Metus stands even taller now.
Look at what you made. I am your fears, past and present.
He declares, while Nate tells me that we have to destroy this thing. and fires a blast of energy at Metus' face. It's absorbed too much. Fall back, I tell Nate. Metus starts to whip several more wires towards Nate as I tell him to look out.
I'm gonna finish this.
Nate shouts as he released a powerful surge of energy towards Metus. No, stupid kid. You'll kill all of us, I exclaimed as the energy tears through Metus, knocking the strange creature backwards. Nate drops to the ground.
I've almost got it. One more.
He tells me, as Metus lumbers towards us, with a huge hole through its chest.
Do it. Do what you copied. Never could.
But I stand before Nate and Metus and tell Nate that I can't let him.
Get out of the way.
Nate exclaims. You don't understand, I remarked. As Metus shrinks down to a regular humanoid size, Nate points out that it is dying and tells me that we won't get another chance like this. Metus suddenly takes flight into the strange realm that surrounds us.
It's getting away. What the hell's the matter with you?
Nate asks. One more blast and you'd be dead. I tell Nate, who realizes that I am hiding something. He can sense it now that the others are gone. It doesn't concern you, I tell him. Nate then realizes that I had carried this with me for so long.
Why didn't you say something?
He asked, pointing out that I had created a monster and that it will destroy me.
If I'd known the truth,
Nate begins, but I tell him it wouldn't have mattered. Nate tells me that I have to fix this mess before it consumes me and the people I love.
Metus won't stop. Not after what I just saw. Hatred is part of him. It has been since you.
Nate starts to say, but I tell him that I know. I looked around as the greenish-yellow bubbles float around us, and I stated that we need to find a way out of here. Nate pulls something from his jacket pocket and reveals that he nicked a time machine off the table. There's hope for you yet, I smirked, before remarking that we leave Metus here. Show him what true isolation feels like.
You know that won't last forever.
Nate replies. Time slide by 2, I replied, ignoring Nate's comment.